Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Ministry of Local Government and the National Commission for Self-Help embarks on the construction of Starter House. The Minister of the People and Social Development endorses push for healthy lifestyles among citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And in sport, Wayne Cunningham files a report from the CONCACAF Summit. Thank you for joining us. The Government of Trinidad and Tobago, through the Ministry of Local Government and the National Commission for Self-Help, has embarked on the construction of Starter House for the very poor. The government is committed to reducing poverty by 2% per year.
Fresh smell of cream.
Where are you looking? On the top one. Okay. This was your house? Yeah. Well, you're getting ready to move in then? Moving ready?
The scene tells a story of the transformation that is taking place in the lives of the poor by the provision of starter houses with the National Self-Help Commission and the Ministry of Local Government. Minister of Local Government Dr. Suraj Ratan Rambajan toured Couva North, Chaguanas East and Chaguanas West, visiting residents who are the recipients of the new homes.
Kenny? You have to break down this now, you know. Yeah, we should have it. I break it down already. Yeah. I think I'll work cutting.
How long you live here, Mr. Kenny?
I live here over 19 years.
At this time, the houses are being painted and the finishing touches are being done. With the resilience of the hard-working team from the Self-Help Commission and the Ministry, the works on the houses are expected to be completed very soon. We spoke to one of the recipients who expressed his heartfelt thanks for this initiative.
I feel very happy. I think I'm thankful and grateful for this what I get. I praise and thank the Lord for what I get here.
Other recipients echoed similar sentiments.
And when the minister here came today, he looked at it and they see the need for these people. And finally, it come to fruition. So I want to thank the Honorable Minister, thank the Chairman, the Suridin Mangru, Mr. Mahabir and Mr. Baldev Singh. We want to thank the entire Self-Help Commission for coming here and making a dent in La Pai as regards to what is taking place here. This is a model house.
Very, very happy and very thankful for it. Thanks a million. Because they was living half used to get water all under the house. When the rainy season started, they go see water. But the sun in it, so eventually we will break it down.
All hands on deck doing their part, including Minister Rambachan.
All right. Completely warm, Minister.
The minister and his team then proceeded with the tour, also taking note of the needs of the residents. A plaque of appreciation was also handed over to the new home owners.
On behalf of the Honorable Minister, I want to congratulate you. I said house, eh? I said, you have to reflect, all right? Thanks. So best of luck and congratulations.
I thank all of you very much. Very much.
All right?
Minister Rambachan told us how he felt this initiative by the state would affect and change the lives of the people.
These are people who are differently able, people who are paralyzed, people who are on wheelchairs. These are people who would never have been able to do something with their lives unless they got a start like this. And I want to take the opportunity to congratulate the Self-Help Commission under Mongru and my contractor friend here and Mr. Mahabir. Please come. These are the gentlemen who made this thing happen.
The tour began at the office of the Member of Parliament for Couva North, after which the minister visited some 15 recipients who saw their dreams of having a home bear fruition. For them, life will no longer be a struggle to survive. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
In other news, Trinidad and Tobago plays a significant role when it comes to trade within the Caribbean basin. Well, that should be Caribbean Basin, as the country's reach continues to expand and opportunities arise. Its strengths and opportunities must be measured in comparison to other key players.
Trinidad and Tobago holds a position of 68 on the Logistics Performance Index, which is a multidimensional assessment of trade-based activities and their collective performance in a country. The LPI, which was created by the World Bank, has been used for more than 150 countries in recent years to provide a perspective on trade logistics with a comparative basis. The comparative basis is in fact the key enablers of trade, which are the logistics operations that encompass a variety of functions within supply chains, including ocean shipping, air freight, land transport, warehousing, and distribution. However, Trinidad and Tobago has not been included in the World Bank's LPI survey in past years. Noting the need to understand where the country's processes for commerce stand and how they compare with other countries, the Arthur Lukjak Graduate School of Business undertook an initiative in late 2012 to generate the LPI for Trinidad and Tobago using the methodology and standards developed by the World Bank. This meant that surveys were carried out within all the companies and agents working to provide support to the international and domestic trade for Trinidad and Tobago. Based on the results, this country ranks 68 on the list of countries which have been surveyed by the World Bank, and according to Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, there is work to be done.
It is actually a perception, much in the same way as many of the World Bank indicators for ease of doing business and other things. It is a perception. But perception becomes reality when one's looking on at the final ranking, because when one looks and sees that we are number 68, and there may be other places, obviously 67 others ahead of us, but they don't know Trinidad or what Trinidad has to offer, clearly the perception becomes the reality of where we should put our investment dollar as to where it's easier to do business in the world. So although it's a perception, it's extremely important.
The Arthur Lukjak School entered a partnership with the University of Miami's Center for Advanced Supply Chain Management, which used the data from the surveys to perform the index compilation. Minister Bharat says he hopes that next year Trinidad and Tobago would be officially a part of the LPI, which would give further evidence of the many systems that government has been putting in place to facilitate greater trade relations on the international and domestic markets. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, promoting healthy lifestyles. Stay with us. Minister of the People, Dr. The Honorable Glenn Ramadar Singh, is endorsing the push by the Ministry of Health for citizens to pursue healthy eating and active lifestyles. The minister is leading by example and began his endorsement by partaking in a marathon held in his constituency of Caroni East.
Minister Ramadar Singh says his ministry recognizes that the concept of a strong mind and strong body is necessary for a healthy and thriving society. He explains this is why healthy eating and active lifestyles are also promoted in his ministry's Direct Impact campaign. The Minister of the People reveals that through the Direct Impact initiative, approximately 50,000 citizens may now have been influenced to live a healthier lifestyle. He suggests that a healthy, active lifestyle is something that should be practiced from a young age, as young persons are also affected by diseases such as diabetes.
And for our youths, it is the kind of development that we want to see in the country. It's the kind of culture that we want to create, having now the knowledge about lifestyle diseases, many of which afflict our community. 144,000 people in Trinidad and Tobago suffer from diabetes. And indeed, hypertension is the number one killer together with cardiovascular diseases. And anything that we can do to combat these diseases that take away from the productive activity of our society to build the economy and to build a strong nation must be done.
Minister Ramadar Singh reveals he isn't alone in his support for the Ministry of Health's Healthy Lifestyle campaign. He says the philosophy of living healthily is supported by all government ministers and members of parliament, and they are all aiming to lead by example, no matter how difficult it may be.
All government ministers do some form of activity, but it is a very challenging lifestyle. It is a very demanding job, and so any little activity that we can get to help goes a long way. But I can say that all ministers and MPs try, and they are also in the knowledge that we are at risk group because of the demanding schedule that you carry as a government minister or MP.
Minister Ramadan Singh says a thrust towards a healthier population will also free up the public purse to allow funds to be spent on other burning issues.
Almost 500,000 persons at some point in time benefit from some government program, which is almost half of our population, benefit from some grant, subvention or discount that the government has to pay for. And this is all to do with the sponsorship of drugs and medication that are associated with diseases that could be prevented in the first place.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
The Couva Point Lisas Chamber of Commerce has decided to invest in the human capital of the area to ensure its members are privy to the best talent pool available.
The development of human capital is a key success factor for companies to be competitive in today's business environment, which is characterized by increasing globalization and a war for talent. These were the words of President of the Couva Point Lisas Chamber of Commerce, Lily Hirai, while speaking at the Chamber's breakfast meeting entitled Human Capital Development. The meeting brought together various businessmen and women from within the Couva Point Lisas area, including Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, the Honorable Fazal Karim. The Chamber's president noted the relevance of human capital development in terms of the benefits that were to be derived.
Investing in your employees' skills and talents through training and development is the key to increase productivity and sustain competitive advantage. Companies that invest in human capital are the ones that benefit exponentially with returns going straight to their bottom line. The Chamber plans to align to the government's philosophy for developing human capital and entrepreneurship. We intend to achieve this by partnering with various stakeholders to become a recognized institution that provides leading-edge training and development programs to meet the needs of our members and the community.
Point Lisas is the largest industrial estate in Trinidad and Tobago, and the areas of Couva and Point Lisas are experiencing an explosion of activity both commercially and residentially. The President gave an overview of the initiative that will enhance the labor pool from within which local businesses can pull from, noting that several significant collaborations would have to be made.
As part of our Human Capital Development Initiative, we will be collaborating with educational institutions and experienced trainers, both locally and internationally, to provide the relevant training to benefit both the corporate business and the business community.
Minister Karim seized the opportunity to have his ministry involved in the initiative, which was launched at the breakfast meeting. The Honourable Minister spoke on the needs of businesses, which would usually be a gain for their operations.
That profiteering or that profit making is a function and a factor of the quality of the people, of your workers, of your workforce. And that brings us to the question, what is the quality of the workforce that you are receiving? And that brings you to another question. What is the quality of the graduates who enter the workforce and your businesses?
Minister Karim listed the many initiatives and programs under his ministry that would assist businesses in accessing a strong talent pool. He noted the difference in certification and qualification, and that education allows a student to become trainable, while training allows a graduate to become employable, and the right skills and attitudes allows that person to remain employed. Following the minister's speech, a presentation on emotional intelligence was delivered by Managing Director of STEP HR Consulting, Mr. Shane Ram. Minister Karim urged the attendees to become aligned with his ministry's offerings, and the Chamber assured that its latest initiative would begin promptly with a series of seminars and relevant activities. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
After the break, the CONCACAF Champions League draw. Stay with us. The group stage draw for the 6th edition of the CONCACAF Champions League was held Monday night in Miami. News 4 Sports senior correspondent Wayne Cunningham was there and files this report.
Having qualified for the CONCACAF Champions League for a second straight season, TT Pro League clubs W Connection FC and Caledonia AIA were graciously welcomed into the elite fold of the region's top football clubs. As the draw for the 2013-2014 CONCACAF Champions League was held at the Intercontinental Hotel in Doral, Miami, Florida, USA. The local teams were congratulated for making the competition for the second successive year, and that feat was put into perspective by the absence of defending champions Monterrey and runners-up Santos, both of Mexico, and the American outfit Seattle Sounders, who did not qualify for the latest installment of the prestigious competition. The draw for the 6th edition of the CONCACAF Champions League was not without incident, as the regulation restricting Mexican and American teams from being in the same group was overlooked. But following the correction, there were contrasting emotions coming from the Trinidad and Tobago qualifiers. The Connection were elated to be grouped with Houston Dynamos of the MLS and Panama's Arabi Unido, while in the Caledonia camp, the mood was a bit more subdued after the Mova Laventille club was drawn with the Mexican powerhouse Toluca and CSD Comunicaciones of Guatemala. Despite the tough competition ahead, AIA General Manager Ricardo Nelson was confident her club could advance from the group stage of the tournament. She stated that the valuable experience gained in the 2012-2013 edition of the CCL will go a long way in preparing the Pro League runners-up for what is to come both on and off the field. The main concern was the altitude at the Toluca Stadium, which is at 8,793 feet above sea level. W Connection President David John Williams and Technical Director Stuart Charles Hervey are happy that they avoided Mexico for the first time in their CCL history, but are wary of the MLS runners-up and Arabi Unido of Panama, which is an unknown element to the Sabaneta club. Matches in the league start on August 6th. I'm Wayne Cunningham, reporting from the CONCACAF Summit in Miami for News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues right after this. Stay with us. We continue to bring you Indian Arrival Day highlights, and this time we take you inside the celebrations hosted by the Indian High Commission to Trinidad and Tobago, where a special visitor from India addressed audiences. Also delivering remarks at the event was Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, the Honorable Marlene Kudre.
I want to especially thank High Commissioner Mishra, and we go back a long way in terms of being another incarnation when High Commissioner brought several cultural groups from India to the city of San Fernando, and it was always a sold-out audience there. So we very much appreciate the culture of India coming from India.
The minister says a lot was learned at the event about the common issues shared between this country and India. This, she said, was achieved during talks with the Honorable Mrs. Krishna Tirath, Minister of Women and Child Development, India, who was visiting Trinidad and Tobago.
And what is remarkable is Minister is responsible for about 1 billion people in India, and our ministry, our Trinidad and Tobago, we are 1.3 million people. So I ask, how do you do it in terms of all the issues, all the challenges? And we were able to share a lot in terms of some of what we are now trying to do.
She adds that one of the main concerns that came out of the talks with Minister Tirath were health issues for women.
In terms of how we deal with it under the ministry as a policy-making body. So I very much appreciate all that you have done, and thank you very much. This visit was extremely timely, and at a time when we have our first and only female Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago who is of East Indian descent. So I just want to thank in terms of what the ancestors would have done back from 1845 to now, and that is the legacy we are proud of in Trinidad. And your visit is so coincidental in terms of Indian arrival and the amount we would learn and we are still to learn from your experiences.
Minister of Women and Child Development India thanked the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the High Commission for the warm hospitality she received during her visit.
I'm extremely happy to be here along with my team of officers and my husband, Mr. Vijay Kumar Tirath, is sitting here on a short visit to beautiful land and Trinidad and Tobago. We have timed our visit to participate in the Indian Arrival Day celebration.
And it was time for some entertainment. Booming with melody, singer-songwriter Dr. Shailesh Srivastava and her team from Mumbai, India, performed some of the finest Indian music. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Knowing your ancestral background is perhaps one of the greatest assets. And as the country celebrated Indian Arrival Day, the Ministry of Food Production is doing its part to show its appreciation for the various cultures and our ancestors.
The Minister of Food Production, Devant Miraj, is reminding citizens of the importance of knowing your family roots and the role this knowledge plays in shaping our rich cultures. This, as he reflected on the arrival of indentured laborers.
Indian Arrival Day, as I said yesterday in the Senate, gives us an opportunity to reflect on the trials and tribulations as well as project where we are and what have you. But I see it also as an opportunity for people of all background, no matter what ethnic group you come from, to look at the concept of family and what family means to you and your own personal family.
The minister is encouraging citizens to check their family background so they can have a better knowledge and understanding of where they came from. This, he says, will contribute in shaping lives in a positive way.
All of us would benefit to research your own family's background, and you would see the tremendous amount of information that you would not have known it to have existed at all. Nelson Island was recently opened. It's a very good place to visit, as indicated by Parash Ramuta, but it is nothing compared to the museum which I opened in Waterloo, Karapichaima, the Indian Caribbean Museum, which is dedicated to the Indian presence in Trinidad and Tobago.
Minister Devant Miraj was speaking at his ministry's Indian Arrival Day function 2013. The program included a number of remarks, including international journalist Paras Ramuta and General Secretary, the Cane Production Association, Mr. Sukaran Tambi. It also included a vibrant and pulsating cultural show. Miss Rauti Ramroop entertained the patrons in song. And the action did not stop here, as the Kiss Natraj Dance Group entertained audiences with a dance. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.